Joe and I start off this conversation. We just decided to hit record. We start off this conversation talking about moving through life while in discomfort, pain, dis-ease.
Mm-hmm.
Joe, what this topic came up. Joe is going through a hip injury. I am enduring and completing some hip injuries and trauma.
Mm.
And we started discussing this because Joe and I are both active men, active individuals in many different ways. We coach others to reach their highest selves in all ways, in all forms, whatever that means for them. So we found, we think that this is an interesting topic, and now it has some other things that were going through my mind that we're just going to lay out in this episode. So I'll start off with just like, let's start off with our situations, Joe, and how what's presenting for us, and I'll model it. So my situation is I have hip discomfort, hip pain. I've had it for the past, it's been going on for, I would say, probably the past 3 or 4 years, in varying degrees of discomfort over the years. As a knowledge as a personal trainer, yoga instructor, I do get frustrated with it because I feel like I should know how to help and handle myself and take care of myself. And right now I'm looking at what's the energetic reasoning behind my pains. Working with metaphysical anatomy, I feel like there's something in there. There's a lesson in there for me. And right now, where I am with this scenario is like I'm learning to listen to my body more, Joe.
Yeah.
And I'm learning to, I'm learning the language of my body and what it's looking to tell me, what it's trying to tell me. And it's uncomfortable because it's like today I have a lot of discomfort in my sacroiliac joint, that space where your spine, the sacrum goes into the pelvis. Have discomfort in something called the psoas, which is this deep muscle that ties into, for people that aren't familiar with the anatomy, it ties into a part of the spine in the middle of the back called the thoracic spine. And it weaves itself through the pelvis and attaches to the thigh bone, the femur, the inner thigh. So it's the muscle that connects both the upper and lower body, and it's said to be the soul muscle.
Yeah,
so that's very tight for me. And that's my scenario. Joe, you want to give a rundown on what's coming up for you, man?
Well, physically, physically, I didn't take care of a minor injury, I guess. I imagined it was just sore. And so I kept pushing it and working out, and I overused an area. And so I've got a bursitis, ischial bursitis, or I don't know, that's what it was called. But essentially, it's the fluid sac that lubricates the joint between my glute and my hamstring, right? My bone, my leg bone is inflamed. And bursitis, for anyone who hasn't had it, I've had it once before in high school football. I had a knee bursitis.
Oof.
That is a painful SOB. I mean, wow, is it painful? And so essentially I can't sit or do a lot of movements where I have to bend my knee or lift my leg at all, or go into really straight. Keeping my leg straight is the only thing. So actually standing right now or even walking at a gentle pace doesn't hurt at all. But just about everything else hurts. Yesterday morning, I didn't even know how to put on socks and shoes. I was like, what am I going to do here? And the answer was just be in a lot of pain for about 30 seconds. Because I had a presentation for youth yesterday on emotions as messengers that I wanted to attend. So point is, when physical pain, especially when it triggers any sort of nerve pain down a leg, I mean, when that happens, I can move into a state of real terror. Wow, what if this is permanent? What if this really changes my entire life? And I tell a story of a bit of fragility where I think, well, if I can't exercise hard regularly, I will lose my mind, I'll lose my patience, I'll lose my mindfulness. I won't be able to connect with people. All my anxieties will take over. And then it starts like, oh, and then I'll ruin all my relationships, my business will fail. And then I'll probably gain all my 160 pounds of weight back because When I'm in pain, I want to eat more. And if I can't move, then it gets into this vicious cycle, right? So what happens for me is that's the initial reaction is when I get physically hurt, and especially if it looks like it's something that involves these mystical parts of the body, like my nerves, and there could be nerve damage, etc. I go down into a spiral, right? So that was one thing, but I also was facing some real emotional discomfort this weekend as well too, with a conversation actually around issues related to men and women and toxic masculinity with my love partner, my current love partner, who I'm really enjoying. It went sideways and we worked it out, but it was just like, it left me with this real, like, emotional or even soulful or spiritual discomfort, you know? So I woke up yesterday hurting in every way. You know, my mind hurt, my heart hurt, my body hurt. And so the question for me becomes, like, when do I make the shift from just feeling the pain, which I'm learning to allow it. If this was 3-4 years ago, I'm just going to bypass it. I'm just going to overcome it with positive thinking, with affirmations, with meditation, with all the things that we can do. These tools we learn that get us out of a hole, that transform our lives, that then can become our spiritual bypassing tools, right? So the question for me is, how long do I feel it? How long do I be with these discomforts and this catastrophic thinking and all the swirls of misery that surround me? And when do I start focusing on, okay, you know, the shift from why is this happening to me to why is this happening for me? What am I going to gain? What am I going to learn? So, I mean, I came home from the ER last night, and my mom, it's like I had to tell someone else to tell myself. My mom's all freaking out. Oh my God, you're in so much pain. And I'd say, Mom, I get a chance to cancel some plans. I get a chance to learn how I operate for a week or so without exercise. I tell a story, I need exercise or I can't be me. So it's like, I get to see how adaptive I can be to this situation.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's so much in here, but like, that's kind of where I'm sitting with it today and what the experience is like for me.
Thank you for that, brother. Thank you. This conversation brings up something for me as far as the human body as the vessel, like as the instrument engaged. And it's wild. I was just I was writing this piece on the king's body. Like I've told you about this program I have called Rise Into Your King. So I'm writing these installments about each of the realms. And one of the things I'm finding, especially in light of this conversation, is like the realm of the physical form, and seeing it as speaking for myself as a man. There was a part where I looked at my body as just a utility. Like, okay, it's something that, okay, it's, move, do this, pick up. I lift things up, I put them down. Like, just like that basic, very fundamental type of process. And the thing that I'm coming into now as I get older is my body's not what my body's not what it was. And there was most likely messages my body was telling me back then that I did not recall, right? I had yet to recall that now I'm starting to, oh, wow, okay, I see what this is telling me. And it feeds into something you also mentioned about feeling emotionally drained, right? And the body can be an instrument that I'm learning. And, it's a lot of, like I was telling Joe before this, my hip issue, I was reading in this anatomy of metaphysical anatomy. It has some things to do with anger and resentment.
Yeah.
And as I'm working through my emotions, I'm learning about the anger and sadness and hurt that I experience, which from an energetic center perspective can reside a lot in the lower body energy centers, specifically our root energy center and our sacral energy center, which is right in the area where both of us are dealing with these hip concerns.
Right.
The sacral energy center, the sacrum, which is Sanskrit for sacred hollow bone. So it's interesting because when people are able, like for us, for example, right now, how you see this is I'm looking at how is this happening for me so I can, what's the lesson? If more of us, myself included,
Yeah.
are to be still and really listen to the messages and see what does the body need to heal, or what am I trying to force myself through that I haven't addressed yet? Like me trying to step into something that I'm not ready to step that far.
Mm-hmm.
Like, listen, what kind of message is that telling the body? And I find that, and I'm curious from your experience working with just others, because I find this working with men or women.
Yeah.
How does the body, how do you teach about healthy and constructive body image and functioning within the leadership and the development that you work with that you help others with?
Yeah. It's a great question. I guess it depends a lot on where the person's coming from,
What do you mean?
and what their situation is.
Okay.
Right. So there's a lot of people that I might work with, and we're doing like kind of life or career-ish coaching. Everything I do is a little bit of ish, but um, and they've had a fairly physically healthy and fit body a lot of their lives, and they've been in positions where they've done a lot, they've created a lot, they've been successful in their careers. And as they age, or maybe even as we're younger, the body's constantly giving the message to help them slow down, or to help them heal, or to help them shift, right? So like I think about like me, for example, in this moment, this is what I would consider a sports injury. So the message for people I'm working with is often like, hey, if you're really active and you get a sports injury and you do like I do, which is not take it for granted and think it'll just heal easily on its own and not slow down, it's going to get worse, right? And so obviously seeing that there's a actual experience there. I do too much. I take an impact. I don't slow down and honor that. And instead of actually being faster and stronger, I'm now weaker. Right? So like being able to say, look, the body here is teaching you in this moment, you're going to slow down. You have to slow down. In my mind body nutrition and my eating psychology coaching, that was something we talked about a lot, with fatigue issues, with immunity issues, with injuries. That's basically the body saying, look, you don't have a choice. We're going to have to slow you down because you're going to burn out. You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to crash and burn otherwise. Or you're just not going to enjoy the richness of life that you already have, always looking towards the future. So that's one side of it, is going, all right, well, great. It's time to slow down. But the other side is sometimes people underutilize their body. They disembody, they're disconnected. And even if, whether they've needing to lose weight and get healthy, or whether they're just wanting to perform better in their lives and their relationships and their career, if they're not challenging their body consistently, and if they don't care enough for the body, then the lesson is, how can you utilize it as a metaphor for the way that you create stress, positive stress in your life? How can you use it as a metaphor for the way that we challenge our body into some like warrior action? It doesn't matter what gender we are. There's some warrior action into believing we're more capable. If I'm not used to putting my body through physical stress to reach some sort of achievement or to reach better health, then I will usually buckle when I experience emotional or intellectual, like, or relationship stress at a high level, because I'm not used to the pressure. So it's like there's all these ways the body can be showing us to slow down. The body can be showing us to actually work harder, to push ourselves. We can use it in all these ways. Your question was about like positive body image, and I'm wondering, was there more to that? Because that can be a whole nother topic of like how we imagine, how we see our bodies, and the value that we have in our appearance. Were you touching in on that? Was that something you wanted to touch?
Yeah. I guess it would be, yes, somewhat. Like what I'm looking for, what I was asking specifically about, and thank you for the space to clarify, is more, I guess, the value of the body value.
Got it.
So like I see my body as this, it's a tool. I got to use it to get through something. Or it's like, I see my body as an asset and an investment. So I was just curious from that perspective. Yeah, like body image, that's a whole other topic. You're right.
Sure.
Like more body value.
Yeah. Well, let's speak the language of our culture, man.
Yeah.
If it is a tool,
Yeah.
how do we turn a tool into an asset? How do we turn something that we own it's already an asset, we own it. How do we create more value from it?
Right.
So let's say it's a vehicle or a property. What are we going to do with that? We're going to let it rot.
Maintain it.
We're not going to run it. We're going to expect it to just be in good shape when we abandon it.
Right.
No, we're going to put some time, energy into it, and we're going to put some money into it. So if we want to look at value, well, you know, if I'm renovating a bathroom, if it's a baller ass bathroom, I might spend $30K on it. If you need a new liver, what are the medical bills for that if you didn't have insurance? Hundreds of thousands of dollars. That could be upwards of millions of dollars.
Yes, man.
So our universe, our world, even our system of capitalism values the body higher than anything else.
Truth.
If I don't have insurance and I need cancer treatment, millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
If I get hit by a car, or let's say I just get a major injury and I'm in the hospital for a few weeks, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Truth.
So
Truth.
let's just look at our current value system. If we're looking at money and what things cost as a value system, there's nothing that's more costly to maintain or to repair than our body, right? I mean, your body's like, I mean, a Lamborghini can't even compete.
Yeah, that makes sense. See, now that brings up something in me where I'm like, and thank you for that. It brings up in me when people like, oh man, I don't know if I can afford that. Right. When it comes to something for their body. How much for that vitamin?
Yeah.
How much for that massage? You know what, man? I don't know if I can afford that.
Yeah.
But you got some fresh shoes on.
Right.
You got that outfit's looking fresh. That steak dinner was real expensive.
Yeah.
This is a thing that I'm witnessing right now as I'm in my 40s and shoot, in a couple of years I'm going to be on the downslide, getting ready for that upslide of my 50s. So I'm like, hold on. Yeah. I'm looking to get to 108. So what are the things that I value right now that I'm going to put in my body, that I'm going to invest in my body? And the investment, just to make sure that we're clear, I'm clear what I'm saying, is not necessarily just financial. Okay.
No. Yeah.
It's a matter of time and resources. So Joe, you bring up a powerful point. Some people are either using the body too much, again, which could be something underlying, like to drive that type of extreme. And some
performance, aesthetics.
Yeah. A whole bunch of stuff.
Some competition.
Right. Then some people may not use the body at all.
Right.
Because then there's fear. And here's something that I came to is the other day, you mentioned something like, oh my goodness, like this could be permanent, like this. Mm-hmm. My thing for me, on the other hand, because I've dealt with this pain and discomfort where it's becoming a norm.
Yeah.
Where now I'm like, well, hold up, man. What's my life going to be like when I don't have this pain? So I can start to build that pathway. And I'm like, oh my God, like there was almost a sense of like, I'd have more responsibility to be certain things. And it was like, oh shit, body, damn. Hold up. Thank you for giving me that message and let me know something else could be under there. So there's a lot. I say this because, especially when it comes to moving through life with that discomfort, there's a fine line between pushing through the discomfort, right, and moving through it. If I'm
Yes.
pushing through it, I'm like, oh, get out of here, buh. If I'm moving through it, I'm like, I'm present.
Right. Right.
Ooh, oh, I
So,
gotta watch that. That was a landmine right
yeah.
there. I could
So
have.
I would love to, I'm hearing you, and your power is amazing right now. Like, and what I want to check in around is this idea of the original part of the original question here was, like, how do we move with discomfort or through discomfort?
Yeah.
And what's the value of it? You know, discomfort is undervalued. Positive stress is undervalued in our world right now. Anything that has true value, that has enduring value, that has deep and rich value is created with some discomfort. There's not ease and flow consistently if we want to create a great business, a great relationship, a great body, a great family, a great spiritual practice, a great community. We have to actually acknowledge that the discomfort, like you said, is got lessons in it, and it's part of the path. It's you know, my coach talks about friction. When we're not used to things, you experience friction, and it takes more energetic and emotional resources to move through friction, right? But the only way that we expand our capacity is to experience the friction and get to a point where that same experience doesn't have friction next time around, right? So that's the only way through it, right? And the example you talked about is, can I be present? Can I be with the discomfort? Can I see what it's teaching me? Or do I just plow through it? So I mentioned the emotional and mental discomfort I was in. Um, I'm in this new relationship, and my love is brilliant. She's really emotionally intelligent, mindful, and compassionate, and extraordinarily connected to her body as well, you know. And so we have a lot of depth. But what it means is when we hit a snag, it might be something that other couples would just kind of move through quickly, you know, just like, oh, okay, I didn't mean it. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I love you too. You know, all that. A couple times now, we've taken hours of confusion and discomfort and tears and touching on, well, what does this trigger in me, and what does this trigger in you, and here's the deep fear that came up, and I might have been acting from this place, and here's the pattern in my past relationship, and here's the larger, bigger picture that this relates to in our culture, and what systemic oppressions she's probably felt a lot more than me, right? Or that I have too. So we honestly take like a long time to unpack this, and there's several, like all these moments of like, oh, this right here, if I say this could be the end of everything. We're only like 3 months in, 3.5 months in. But we learn throughout each experience. I don't know that we necessarily get closer every time usually, but we know more about ourselves, and we know more about each other. We know more about how we love and how we connect, and where it hurts, you know? So that's the example right there. We don't always have time to do that in life. Literally, we don't always have time. But when we're trying to push through an obstacle, we don't learn the lessons, and we don't get the depth and the richness when we're present to it, when we ask what we can learn, when we consciously choose to move into the discomfort at times. We grow and we become more powerful in these moments. And the most important part is we have deeper experiences in relationship, in community, in our business life, whatever it may be, when we learn to embrace the discomfort, you know? So that's, your point was really powerfully taken around, do I just put my shoulder down, to put my head down, and I plow through it with force? Or do I dance through it gracefully, knowing that, hey, it's a minefield?
Yes.
It's straight up a minefield.
It's, oh my goodness. You know, when you said moving through it gracefully, it brought up something that came up for me last week, and I was on I was staffing a new warrior training adventure.
Yeah.
And someone else on this call was staffing that weekend too, out in Colorado.
Different parts of the continent here, but yeah.
Yes, yes. So a man in your community, K Platt. I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
All right, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, man.
So this dude's a healer.
Yes.
He's a healer. So
Yeah, he
I was,
walks into the room and you feel better.
yeah, yes, yes. So I bring him up because when I was on the weekend, I was experiencing a tremendous amount of discomfort. A lot of things were coming up for me emotionally, and it was triggering a lot of pain and energy throughout my body that I feel like this right here is a residual effect of.
Mm-hmm.
And he said a couple things to me that really resonated. First, he said, well, I was trying to think which one he said first, but the first one that he said, like, you can heal yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what? And that was a poignant thing for me because I'm always thinking like, oh my gosh, I don't know what the heck is going on. I'm like, what's happening? It could be this, it could be that, instead of truly listening to what's going on in my body.
Right.
And the second thing, when I asked him, I said, damn, how do you do that where you allow the body to allow someone else to heal, right? Heal themselves. He said, a message I got from from his teacher was, touch them like they're a gift from God or the divine or
Mm-hmm.
the universe, however you want to say it, based on your religious affiliation.
Right.
And I say this because, especially as we're talking about moving through discomfort in life,
Mm-hmm.
those are two powerful things in my opinion. First of all, that you can heal yourself, and second of all, you are a gift. Your body is a gift of the divine.
Mm-hmm.
And to see it and experience it as that. And what the heck does that even mean in regular language and not woo-woo language? It means that you listen to your body, you take care of your body, you treat it like it's your best partner. Like, I even have a clip where I talk about treat the body as a divine feminine,
Mm-hmm.
the nurturer, right? Like, yes, you're courting her.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's just, I wanted to put that in there. I know we're coming up on time,
Right.
especially for people that are watching this. Let's provide a couple gems that they can take with them, just as they're experiencing any discomfort in life, the physical form or whatever. What you got, Joe?
Yeah. Well, there's this dance with discomfort.
Mm.
Many of us, I believe, culturally, we are too used to having low level, constant discomfort that we normalize and do not treat and do not listen to.
Oh.
So, can you get sick of and tired of and do something about the daily low level fight or flight stress response that you're probably living in right now? And can you actually embrace small, chosen, acute pockets of discomfort that you either create for yourself or that the universe has given us to transform through and to grow through? Now, that's the really difficult conversation with your business partner. That's the time of disconnection or maybe even separation from a romantic partner, where it's time to learn about you and their time to learn about them so you can come back stronger.
Yeah.
It's the moment where your fourth grader you're getting calls from the school because they're acting up and this and that. And do I just discipline them and tell them I'm wrong? Or do I slow down and recognize, what does this precious soul need from me or from the school system, from the world they're not getting here? It's like, can we actually allow and walk into discomfort and learn from it and know that that's how great things are created versus just try and get rid of it? So get rid of that everyday shit that's killing you and embrace and walk into and through and own the big stuff in life that's here to teach you and help you. You know?
Oh, blessings, man. Blessings. Wow. That's, yeah. That right there is it. Thank you, man. And for people that are experiencing discomfort, want to talk more about this, we've had the contact information for Joe and for myself throughout this whole video. We're also going to have it at the end. Reach out to us. I mean, we're here. We're not just figures. All right. So, and we're here to be of service and to help and contribute. We do have paid programs. We are volunteers with Mankind Project, Mankind Project organization. So, can contact us, see how we can help out. If you have some questions, maybe most likely there's some answers both of us can help you with. So thank you for tuning in, and blessings. And until next time, This is Coffee with Joe and Paul. Peace.
Bye.